Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul Catalina. Josh Neighbors joins us for his weekly spot, Big 12 Watch. And Josh, there are some very intriguing games on the slate this week. There's a couple that, I don't think Iowa State and Arkansas State's going to get a lot of our time on the segment. I don't think Houston and Cincinnati will. But there are several who are you games in the league this week. Let's start at the top with Utah and Oklahoma State. We're going to find out a lot about both these teams, and we don't know if Cam Rising is going to play or not. Dorian Singer said he was. The lines moved towards Oklahoma State, which makes me think that he is, or isn't. There's nebulous when it comes to that, which is why I crave injury reports as standard across college football.
Yeah.
But this one's in Stillwater. It's the first time that Utah's been there as a member of the Big 12 Conference. This is going to be a physical, tough game, I think.
Yeah, I think this matchup is very compelling. I wish Cam Rising was full strength because I think it would be an opportunity for Utah to potentially show the powerhouse that they've built, that Kyle Whittingham has built. Because when I think about the first three games for Oklahoma State, I think about how teams have made a commitment to stopping the run, and Oklahoma State has been able to punish them with that. And that's a lot to do with Alan Bowman. But to me, a lot of that is to do with how good those wide receivers, and Bowman in concert with the wide receivers. Having Stribling, Owens, and Presley all together, and also Ollie Gordon as well as a pass catcher. It's sometimes too much for defenses to bear. I think the good news for Utah is they've got a couple very good pass rushers, and obviously, Van Fillinger is kind of the lead dog, the big dog, if you will, in that category. So can Utah get pressure on Oklahoma State without having to invest too many extra bodies into the box all the time? Stopping the run and getting after the pass was a little bit different, but can they get after the passer? Can they affect Oklahoma State? And can they make it to where it's not just straight up single coverage in the outside one-on-one? Because Stribling, Owens, and Presley have been winning a ton of one-on-one matchups this year. Now they've been playing stalwart secondaries. No, South Dakota State, Tulsa, and also Arkansas. Not excellent secondaries, but these guys will burn a lot of folks. I think they'll burn a lot of teams. And once again, Oklahoma State is not especially talented to me, but you really got to bring your A game to beat them. Now, Utah is a team that's kind of built off we play our A game. We always bring our A game. We're really, really solid. And I think this team particularly is built to be all right, we're just going to shove our A game in your face and kind of beat up on you. But I think it's really compelling, obviously, because Cam Rising now. And this is the big test. Kansas won 9 games last year, the backup. 2 backups, right? Utah, the results with backup quarterbacks the last, year have not been good. Can you elevate? Can you elevate that position? And, let's see if little Zach, Isaac Wilson, can do that if he's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the big question. If it's Cam Rising, this game is really, really interesting. If it's not, then I don't know. I mean, he did okay against Utah State, but this is a different animal. And Oklahoma State on defense is not what they have been in the past. They
may not be very good. I think they might not be very good.
Yeah. I don't want to go that far yet. I want to give them that, let them find who they are, maybe a little bit in the conference, but so far it hasn't been wonderful on that side of the ball.
They just don't have, they're pretty ordinary, personnel wise, besides the 2 linebackers. And I mean, I think also for Utah, if Oklahoma State, man, if it's Isaac Wilson, go for the kill early, really just try to put Utah behind the 8 ball and try and make them come back and see if you can keep yourself on schedule, because Oklahoma State's not really built to come back. They did against Arkansas. Yes. But Arkansas did a very, very good job of I would say engaging them in that, right. Of being all right, here you go. Here are opportunities. And Mike Gundy teams are just too good to screw that up. And so I have to think a backup quarterback, Isaac Wilson, might give them some opportunities. And if he does on the road, Usually Oklahoma State will punch that ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the biggest who are you game this week is Kansas and West Virginia.
Yeah.
These are two teams that are 1-2. I don't think that most people expected these two teams to be 1-2. West Virginia 2-1 at worst. When we thought about it, I thought Kansas would be an easy 3-0. I mean, I thought that this set up for them. I say easy 3-0, but I thought for sure they'll be 3-0 at this point and then heading off into the conference season. But the Jeff Grimes hire has not worked out for Kansas. West Virginia has no identity right now. They're just kind of there. This game is in Morgantown. I'm picking Kansas in this game just because I think that they're better and a little bit like more talented. But I'm befuddled as to the state of these two teams right now.
This is like it's the Big 12 opener for both, but it's almost a loser leaves town match. Mm-hmm. Like it really is, because they could turn it around, but we all know how hard West Virginia's schedule is, and their defense is bad. It is really bad, and their secondary is really bad. But like, I mean, you know, this is the age-old question: is West Virginia's defense the cure for the common offense, or does Kansas really have a problem with the passing game? Because if they can't get it going in this one, yikes! That's not a good situation. And they've got such a good diversity of weapons. Like they've just got a lot of guys that can throw at you. You know, in the backfield with Neal and Highshaw, and then the receiving core they have Skinner and Grimm, and they've got all these guys across the board. But just really hasn't worked out for them. And Jalen Daniels has not looked very good. And whatever tweaks they made to the offense, maybe weren't the right tweaks to make for this team, because it's, you know, Penn State's their offenses look great. Go figure. I mean, maybe we all get lucky in this. Maybe Andy Kotelnicki comes back to the Big 12 and becomes a head coach, because I don't think it's going to be very long before he's a head man, because his offenses are really, really good. But you're seeing KU, I think, in some ways struggle without that. And this creativity and whatnot, it just does not seem to be there. And Jalen seems to be struggling with that. And he's taking more sacks, and his completion numbers are way down. He's throwing a bunch of interceptions. So he just looks lost out there. But do we have a lot of confidence in West Virginia's ability to confuse them? I don't know. I think I might be leaning your way, but also at the same time, West Virginia's at home. So it's like, God, if it's a toss-up, I'm going to go with the home team. This is a stay away betting wise. This really is. If I'm wagering, it's a big stay away.
Yeah, there's no way I would, because this is one of those things where you're like, and I don't know. I'm not as versed as you in the gambling arts, Josh, but I can just tell you, if somebody was like, should I bet on this game, as a person who considers himself at least a low-level expert in college football, I'd be like, no, I have no idea how this thing's going to go.
Yeah, it's 2-1-2 teams, and the home team's a 2-point favorite. Like, that should tell you something. That's not.
No, like, that means that, like, they, whoever set the line, like when they went to those guys, and like, how do you feel about it? I know
they essentially think KU's a field goal better on a neutral, a little bit more than a field goal better on a neutral field.
Yeah.
But the analytics like KU a lot. Like the Football Power Index from ESPN predicted it gave them the best shot to win the Big 12. So I think the computers will kind of spit this stuff out. But like also like West Virginia's at home, and KU's look terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. So it's like, and I don't know, Paul. Like, I mean, Neal Brown, if they lose this game, Neal Brown's right back in trouble.
Yeah. No, like, I thought the hot seat was gone after last year of 9-4. Like, hey, that was a prove it year, and he did. But 1-3,
yikes!
Yeah, you're like, okay.
And you lost like the three challenges in your schedule so far. You lose to them.
Yeah,
and two of them are rivals.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the Penn State game, whatever. Like Penn State might be really, really good this year. You're outclassed, but like the Pitt game, like Holstein's pretty decent, but like I don't think Pitt's that good. Like I don't think Pitt's like super special. Like they seem pretty average. And we all talked about West Virginia maybe taking a step up from where they were last year, which was like a good team, and they've definitely already taken a step back. Yeah.
No, that's true. That is absolutely true. Okay, let's move on to Baylor and Colorado.
Oh, fun.
Both these teams are 2-1. but
Huh?
I think that we don't really know that much about either team. My bet would be that Sawyer Robertson, who played well against Air Force last week, starts this game for Baylor. And he certainly gave them a spark offensively and looked like he was very comfortable in that offense. But again, it was Air Force in a down year. Colorado is starting to play better on defense, a little better on defense, but they also played a really bad Colorado State team. There's 3 players on that Colorado State team that I'm betting right now are like, oh man, that portal would have been really cool. Like if I could have wound up at Ohio State or
Kansas State, like one of them. Also, how dumb was that? Like, did anybody believe that? He didn't the kid say he was offered $600K?
Yeah.
So
the quarterback, yeah.
So sorry to get you sidetracked here, but like this is kind of just a weird thing. Like Kansas State, if they had more money, like maybe they would have tried to keep Will Howard and Avery Johnson and sold it. Hey, Avery, we're going to pay you pretty well to be the backup, basically, and your time's coming next. But also I think he's a better scheme fit, whatever. But like they're not gonna pay Avery Johnson well and then be like, let's pay a backup well. You know what we should do? Pay 600. Like I don't know what the situation is NIL wise at K-State. I'm sure it's pretty good, but I don't think it's that good where it's like we've got, $1.5 million invested in 2 quarterbacks.
No,
like that just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I never bought that Colorado State crap.
No, Torrey Horton's the one I'm thinking would have fit well.
Yes, that gentleman can play. He is very good.
Yeah, that he would have fit well a lot of places. There's about 3 ACC schools I think that should have that would have gotten in on him, and there's probably all the Big 12 schools. Like honestly, he'd been in the portal. Like I promise you, Jake Spavital calls him. I know that. And TCU, like there was fits all over the place for him.
Yeah.
In the power conferences, but neither of these teams like. We know more about their problems and their strengths, I think. And even though Colorado's got 2 really huge strengths in Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders, they can't go through the Big 12 relying on those 2 guys. So this is another win or go home game a little bit, because for these 2 teams that are not like all that deep and all that cohesive yet, this is a game you've got to win to get to that 6th game if you look at the schedule. Now, for Baylor, it lines up a lot better than Colorado. Baylor's schedule's a little bit easier. But either way, there's only 3 or 4 more games on the schedule where you can look at it right now and say that's a matchup that they can hang in, on a normal day, without like weird things happening. So this is a prove-it game for both these squads.
Yeah, I mean, one of these teams is going to end up feeling really good about themselves. They're going to be 3-1 and 1-0 in the league. I'm assuming the television networks are hoping that it's going to be Colorado. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because like there's not really as much at stake for Colorado. Like I kind of wonder like how much is really at stake for Deion Sanders and Shador, and especially with Travis Hunter. I mean, like there's not really. I mean, good players keep playing, whatever. But like with the way that the apparatus has worked at Colorado, we mentioned it last week. University of Colorado and Colorado football as a vehicle to promote the Sanders brand. The stakes are not as high because I feel like their brand is going to be high anyway, right? Like Shador is going to be a 1st-round pick. I mean, he's already showed me enough, at least my opinion, in this draft class to be a 1st-round pick. Now, would I take him? I would not take him if I was a team. As a player, he's fine. As a person, as a leader, not fine. But there's a lot at stake for Baylor. I mean, Dave Aranda's coaching for his job, and Jake Spavital's coming in. I mean, he's got a lot of stake for him too, right? I mean, this is like if they kick the staff out, Spavital's not staying. So a lot of stake for them, and a lot of those guys in this team. Like it's some of these guys have been around. They brought in some transfers, obviously, but Baylor's kind of like, this is like a last shot at saving this culture of Baylor football and what it was. And I think the hard thing for Baylor fans, and I agree that it should be hard on them, is that like you should demand a high standard because you have money, you're in Texas, and we know different coaches can win there. We watched Bryles win 10 plus games. We watched Matt Rule win 10 plus games. We watched we watched Dave Aranda win 10 plus games. And I think all Baylor folks would agree, like those are all decidedly different people. right? They're all very, very different people. And so the expectation is that you can win there, and Dave Aranda is not meeting that expectation. And in some ways, like in this era, it's an expectation he helped set, which is good and bad. More on the line for Baylor. I think Baylor has to win this game. Don't know if they do.
My question is, here's how I see the game going. I think Baylor will be able to run the ball, and that will be good for them. They'll be able to run it pretty effectively.
Is this the game where you wish you had Jeff Grimes back? Is this
probably not.
Is this kind of like the wide zone game? Like this, like I wish kind of run some wide zone here.
No, they honestly they should get in like into that like Florida like Tim Tebow spread, which was essentially it was the wishbone, but out of the shotgun.
Yes.
You know, with more passing, but if they could run that this week, that might be pretty effective for them. But I mean, with Bryson Washington, Dawson Pendergrass, Richard Reese, and Dominic Richardson, they should be able to, through those 4 running backs, find one guy who can hit a hot hand. And Bryson Washington, I think, is about to stake his place as the dude if he keeps going the way he did last week, because he's got the, like, every single one of them has kind of like a skill. It seems like he has all the skills together. But for Baylor on defense, I think they'll be able to get after Shedeur, and they're not going to run the ball. Colorado's not even committed to it, but do they have good enough athletes to contain the athletes that they're going to be throwing to? That I don't know. The secondary has not been very good yet.
This is the ultimate, like, hey, can you tackle? Great, you win. Mm-hmm. Like if the team that tackles better probably wins the game, right? I mean, I think Colorado, especially against like Nebraska, that's the second part of the Nebraska game. Just throw that out, just because Nebraska put it in neutral. But like, I think Baylor's job of tackling is a little bit harder, obviously, because the couple receivers that Shedeur's got at his disposal. But once again, the running backs here, like, and I've told you, Paul, I don't think that front for Colorado is very big and very good. So they have not been awful trying to stop the run the last couple games, not like terrible awful, at least in my estimation. But this is a little bit different. I think the caliber of player Baylor's got in the backfield is a little bit higher. So let's see, can they tackle between the tackles and outside the tackles? We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Arizona State and Texas Tech.
Yes.
What do we
yes.
Make? What do we make of Texas Tech now? What do we make of Tech after that game?
This is like the sickos game. Like it's just like, because like if you're Arizona State, you get the extra day. You're feeling really good, right? You just went to Texas and beat one team. I think Texas Tech's gonna win this game. What to make of them? What's changed, Paul? What's changed? The same thing. Explosive offense, very good offense. Defense is terrible, and also their offense wasn't all explosive against Wazoo, right? So
it was terrible. Yeah,
it was really bad against Wazoo. Washington State, it might actually end up being pretty good. Credit to them, for winning that game. But yeah, I mean, like they're throwing the ball 60 some times again. They're not running Baron Morton as much, which is good. I've been talking about that. But yeah, man, like they're chucking that thing around. They're trying to get the running game going. They're going to score some points, but they really can't stop anybody. And I like the fact they're at home. But I'll tell you this, like, I think you and I talked about ASU last week. Hey, we did, yeah, because there was a Thursday night game. That goes to show you they had the extra days of prep. Really just so solid. Like, you have to – I remember this Conor McGregor quote a while ago, and he's like, to beat me, you're going to have some attributes. You're going to have some size, some strength, something different that you can hit me with. And Arizona State is like that. And it's, Conor McGregor got beat. He got beat several times. But like his thing was, precision beats power and timing beats speed. And like, that's kind of what Arizona State is right now. They're just playing like the better team in a lot of their games, and especially the end of their games. They're playing like the better team. And so I think the idea is like, let's make Texas Tech be the better team. And we know Texas Tech's got that ability in them, but they just can't seem to put it together for long stretches, whether it's in a game or game to game. They just can't seem to put that together. That was a great performance last week against North Texas.
Yeah,
excellent. That's what we wanted to see.
yeah.
I thought that 7-point spread was a complete trap spread. I love Texas Tech in that game. You knew they were going to come out motivated, and they blew the doors off North Texas. Good.
Yeah.
Let's see it come out with that same aggression this week, because it was that first quarter. I think it was 21-0 in the first quarter, or something like that.
Yeah. Arizona State has taken on. You can tell that they've taken on Kennedy Dillingham's personality. And that's good. They don't have depth right now. That's what they're lacking is depth.
So that extra time off does help them a little bit, and it's early in the season, which helps them too.
Yeah, but they once you can see the beginning of it right now. Once he gets the depth there, they're going to be fun. Like if you get, and plus if you give him a quarterback, and Sam Leavitt's played better each week, but if you give him a quarterback who's a plus quarterback, which I don't know if Sam Leavitt is or not yet. Well, I mean, it's early, but if you give that guy a plus quarterback, you can see what he did. I mean, Bo Nix is a millionaire 10 times over now because of Kenny Dillingham. So he's got that about him. I just think that over the long haul of this season, they don't have the depth to do it. But now that they're at 3-0, I would not be surprised to see them find 3 more games because of their scrappiness and their ability to kind of buzz around your ear a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, the depth thing's gonna become an issue for them, right? That's gonna be the big challenge for them, is managing depth. And also they want to be balanced. That offense wants to be balanced. They did not run the ball super effectively last week, so this week's a good chance to do that. But they do want to control some clock. And against Texas Tech, it's possible, right? I mean, Texas Tech, especially. And did they say how long Taj Brooks is out for?
That I don't know. Is he? Hold on.
I remember him obviously going down. It's they are. And look, I thought the offense for them last season got a lot better. Let's see. I'm trying.
I think he's going to play.
He's going to play. Yeah, he might have played last week too. I just knew that he
did play last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, as long as he's good to go. But a big part of what Texas Tech did really well last year, when they started to get on track, was they used him in the running game. And they can still go fast, but you can't just have it be a 13-second possession that's a 3-and-out, 3 incompletions, especially with a guy like that. So you can control more of the clock. Arizona State probably wants to do it in a bit of a slower way. I would say you would if you're Arizona State, they can go fast at times, but if you're Arizona State, this is one of those where you don't want to play a high possession game with Texas Tech just because you don't necessarily have the horses to do so. But I love this game. I think it's a really fascinating and important game. And if Arizona State gets 4-0, man, even if they go 4-8, that'd be, it'd be sad, obviously, but they're still improving. They're definitely improving.
Yeah, they certainly are. Any other thoughts? This week, Houston and Cincinnati, this is a kind of a grow-up game for either team, I guess. Cincinnati obviously is 2 years into their coach. Houston's, 3 games into theirs. Kansas State and BYU, I don't think is going to be very interesting.
That shouldn't be very competitive to be quite
I think it should be, but TCU and SMU. SMU changes quarterbacks. TCU off the really gut punch of a loss last week, where UCF kind of showed who they can be. And if they can put the momentum they had in the second half together for the rest of the year, and I'll tell you this, they play Florida here coming up. If that team beats Florida,
that's trouble for that. That might be a problem for Florida.
Again, that would be another loss in Gainesville for the Gators, and that's the game that probably sends Billy Napier officially out the door if that happens. That they will have momentum like crazy because they will be able to puff their chest out like nobody else when it comes to beating a giant in their state that doesn't think very much of them. And so we saw that with them. We'll talk about them in a second. But with TCU, that was a really disappointing loss. But, man, I really came away impressed with Josh Hoover last week.
Yeah, he's getting better. He really has. And my big question was, with the time that he missed during the spring and in the summer, that was valuable time for a quarterback of his age. Now, Paul, I'm not sure. Did you see the video? I think TCU Barstool tweeted there's some TCU account where it was Josh Hoover after the game, after Sonny Dykes done talking, saying, guys, we have to keep our heads up. Tomorrow, we have to pay attention to the film. he said, we all made mistakes, figure out where you can get better. He goes, nobody made more than me. There's probably 10 to 15 plays I could have done better. He goes, we got to keep our heads up because this is a good team. And the leaders, it didn't feel fake. It didn't feel fake at all. It was really authentic.
Yeah.
And the responses were really good too. And so, like it wasn't like a Harbaugh campy type way or Russell Wilson campy type way. It was legitimate. And that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
The big question for them though, on the offensive side is, can they run the ball? That the running game for them, to me at least, it's not been one where I've been super impressed with like the way that they do it. And look, they played Stanford and Long Island, and then the UCF game last week. Like they threw the ball 52 times, they ran the ball 17 times for 58 yards.
Yeah,
their longest run was 10 yards. That, like, you're at risk of becoming what we talked about Texas Tech, right? And I know you can use some passing stuff to be in your running game, but like I don't need Max Scherzer out there throwing at me 115 pitches every outing. It's not what I want.
No.
And they ran, against Stanford, the other actual opponent they played, they ran for 3.1 a carry. Their longest run in that game, 12 yards. So they played two power opponents, and their longest run in those two games combined is 12 yards. Not hard, Paul, to figure out what the issue is. And their longest run in the game against LIU, they ran for 3.4 a carry against LIU. Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Their longest run in that game was 20 yards.
Yeah.
They can't run the ball at all. SMU sucks. SMU's bad. Yeah. So this game, yikes. It's just another yikes game.
Do they really, Josh, tell me that really, because I have to go. I'm going to see them play my alma mater in a week, and I'd really like that to hold because
you have to worry about the woke mob.
I have to worry about the cowgorithm right now.
The cowgorithm, the woke mob is heading straight for your alma mater, Paul.
You know what's funny to me about that, and I hope this doesn't set the chat room off. Tallahassee is the more liberal city.
That's what I've heard, actually.
Yeah, we're not talking like it's not like comparing San Francisco to Dallas or anything.
It's a college town. It's got the state government in it.
It's got the state government in it, so it's the more like believe me, look, it's been a long time. It's probably more conservative than it was when I was.
But it's not
Gainesville.
There.
It's not Gainesville who hired a sitting Republican senator as their president, like that kind of conservative, but it's still, everything I'm seeing from the Cal people is hilarious.
It's been so good.
It's been so good. It's been so funny. And I say get it in while you can,
I think there's a certain awareness about it. That's like, also like, when did Cal become an SEC school and their fans started throwing stuff on the field?
I don't know. Look, but hey, welcome aboard to the ACC. If you're going to be enthusiastic about football now, which is part of the problem, right? If you hear from all the PAC schools that have come in, every broadcaster I've talked to from a PAC school is like, holy cow, this is for real when we're at one of these Big 12 places. And you're like, oh, it wasn't not for real over there?
Well, it's like, when do Cal fans care about football now more than like Virginia fans and Boston College fans?
Maybe.
Is this actually happening? Because it looks like it's happening.
Yeah. It might be. And look, I'm here for it. I am too. And if you're going to look, this is the year I really want everybody to get their shots in on FSU. I really do. Like we as a fan base have A, earned this, and B, if something shakes us out of the doldrums, let it be this. That Cal can talk crap all the way through the week and then come in and then we'll see what happens. But the fact that they thought they could do it in the first place kind of lets you know where, like, sometimes you shouldn't run your mouth off and then karma's not on your side.
Well, it's not really the team doing anything, though, is it?
No, it's not, but it's the fans.
Like the Twitter folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But still, it's hilarious. I'm here for it. Again, get in your licks while you can because it's not going to stay this way in Tallahassee very long.
No, it won't.
Like, everybody had a 5-year grace period of FSU being good. And then Norvell got it pointed in the right direction, and then personnel decisions and I think outside noise have kind of caved in on them this year. But I don't think it's going to happen again for very long. And he's shown he can fix things quickly. So I've already punted on this year. That's fine. And I
think
trust the coach.
I think the team has also.
Actually, that's been the best two players have been the punter and the kicker.
Yeah, ironically
So,
enough.
Yeah, the kicker is Ryan Fitzgerald. He's going to make some money. He's a badass, man. He's really good. But if SMU is really bad, and I love Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, man, he's cool.
Yeah, I love Rhett Lashley. So I'm just hoping for a good game next week. But Josh, always great. Enjoy your high school game tonight.
I won't. It's a long way away, and I'm not getting paid enough, and it's going to be 90 degrees at kickoff.
All right.
I love you, Paul.
Love
Bye.
you too, Josh. See you soon. That's Josh Neighbors here on 365 Sports.